So, what day is it? How did I contact them? Why am I contacting them? And if it's a mass email, I type in the number. So it was 27 emails that I sent out at one time. And I hit submit. No one else uses this form but me. And then when it's time to look at the data, I can look at the results for this form. And that would be under responses. This looks cool, but it's not really helpful. It just means that on August 30th, I put in 2 submissions. This doesn't tell me how many people I contacted. The way that I figure out how many people I contacted is in the spreadsheet. And my number of contacts, if it was just 1, I put a 1 in there. If it was 16, I put a 16. And then I get the sum for this column. And I know how many parent contacts I made throughout the year. 686. I know that number is much lower when I just guess. And I'm sure that's not even accurate. But every time I think of it, I plug it in. It's kind of a fun game for me because I like data. So, I'll share a copy of this form with you in case it's something you want to use for yourself. And you can make a copy for yourself. Any questions about that one, which is parent form? Just unmute yourself, shout it out if you have a question. Okay, the second one is ACL template. So my ACL, assessment capable learners, a thing we do in our building. It's a way to check in with the kids to see how they're progressing towards a learning objective. That's the shortest answer. I share it through Classroom. I could do a scheduled push, which would be smart because I'm always scrambling at the last minute. Oh, my quarterly ACL is due. And I could just have them automatically pushing out to kids. And the kids will tell you, they'll be like, what is this thing that popped up on the feed? And I'll say, oh yeah, let's do that. Do you fill in the objective or not? So this is a template where it says, I can't explain. Maybe I leave it blank and I throw the objective on the board, or maybe I keep making copies of this form. Zooming in might be hard, so let's take a look at the form. A spot for blocks, which blocks I teach. I can explain the objective, and then I have a Likert scale, a Likert scale that forces them to pick something that's not in the middle. What grade do you want on the test? How do you think you do if you took the test today? And what are your next steps? What do you need to do to make sure you meet your goal? Anything else you want to tell me? So it's really short, simple, but that's the way I like it. Again, you'll get a link to that form as well. If you want to use it, you can make a copy for yourself. When it comes time to submit my data, I take a summary of the results page, screenshot some stuff. I've done it both in class and as homework. It could absolutely be done outside of school if students have access. If you don't want to eat up class time, sure, say, please do this before whenever. I think I've done both. I'm not sure. Yeah, good question. Other questions? Shout it out or type it if you want. Where will you share your parent contact log? It'll be in this presentation. So everything will be linked up in this presentation, which is bit.ly forms hacks. And I'll give that to you again at the end. All right, number 3. I didn't know you could import questions, did you? I don't know where I was on some of these things. They're not new, but I was sleeping. So when you're making a quiz, I use the plus button to add a new question. I just hadn't realized that the second icon was here, that you can import questions from other quizzes you've made. Now there's some fancy add-ons where you can import questions from a PDF or you can import questions from a doc, but there's like, they're not perfect. So I don't know which one I like best, so I can't even recommend one. But the suggestions I saw were make a question bank. So if you're having retakes to give to students, just make 1,000,000 questions in one form and then use that to pull from different versions of your quizzes and tests. That's a thought. And then spiral review, sounds like some ed speak. What I would do is call it revisiting topics. You just keep bringing back those questions that are pertinent, that they really need to know, keep throwing them back on quizzes and assessments. I saw one that had something to do with a unicorn. Unicorn something PDF to forms. It wasn't free, or there was a catch, or you only got so many. I think the free version, I don't remember. There's some catch there. I don't know if I love these things, you know. I've lived without it. Will it help me that much? I don't know. So that's something. You could import questions. All right. Next one, a holding page. It's so simple. This is nothing revolutionary, but it's helpful. So that when I send students to a quiz, they're going to get this holding page. And so how do I do this? I have to have sections. So the quiz that you took at the beginning, if you said yes, you want another question, you got sent to a different section. I put a section right away, a stop sign. If we're doing a quiz on Chromebooks, I'll come around and make sure that everybody has gotten to this page before I tell them to start. Does it work? No. There's usually at least one student who will still fly through the stop sign with a visual on the computer screen. And so that's fun. But it helps, you know, in case the link I give them is broken, one person can't type it in, I can kind of get everybody started. It's equitable to that, okay, you can turn over your papers and start now. I think it's helpful. How do I do that? I insert a section. Well, how do you insert sections? Okay, on the left-hand side, I have that plus button to add a question. There's that import question button. I can add some text, an image, a video, or a section. And if you click on add section, it adds another section below. Now I at section 2 of 3. What do they do when they finish this last question? Oh, they go to the next section. Unless I tell it to send them somewhere else. I get to choose that too. So you can make like a choose your own adventure book style thing. Maybe they get a question wrong and you send them back to review a video or read some text. Those are some options. All right, holding page. Any questions? Okay. Another really simple one, but I have to do it. I always do last name, comma, first name, so that I can then sort their names by their last name so that I can type their scores into PowerSchool that much easier. Yes, you will have at least one or two that don't, but just one or two jumping around makes a difference. I find it really helpful, really simple. Also, teachers don't do it too. When I send out forms to teachers, there are also teachers that do not write last name, first name, just saying. Oh, this is cool. Conditional formatting of the responses in Sheets. All right, maybe I'll just shut up and we'll look at it here. Easier to see it than explain what it is. So I had some kids take a test. You may know them: Dylan, Brandon, Kelly, Donna, Andrea, Steve, David, and Brenda. If I want to quickly look at these and figure out who needs some help, some intervention, and who's got it, I can color code this based on their score. If you use Flubaroo, Flubaroo did this. It's the only thing I miss about Flubaroo. So it's called conditional formatting. I want to apply some formatting to this column. I can click this arrow at the top, and I have the option for conditional formatting at the very bottom. Can you see that? Okay. Now over here, I have some options. And I already know that I want a color scale. So I'm going to go click on color scale. They've got some defaults set in that are pretty nice. So I'm just going to click here where it says default. And I want this one on the bottom right. It gives the highest scores green and gives the lowest scores red. I scroll down and I see that, sure enough, the minimum value was red, the max value was green. And hit done. And it does it. And when new ones come in, they'll also be color coded. So way I'll use this is I'll quickly go, okay, I need to call in those folks for Academy, so things don't get missed. New score comes in. Let's say they get a 3. That's a new lowest score. And that completely changed the color rules because the lowest score is red. It's not about number of points, it was about ranking. But you can change it so that it's not about ranking, so that it's about points. If that person got a 5, okay, they'd get the light green. If the next new score got a 4, they get the red, and it automatically do it. I think that's pretty cool. Maybe you're already using it, and you're like, that's nothing, but I like it. I'm not even going to fuss around with other color schemes, but you can make it as fancy as you want. I'd like to keep it simple. Questions? Okay. A nice blog post with thorough directions on how to do that is there, because I did not give thorough directions. Grading short answer responses. Again, this is another one that I thought I knew what I was doing, but I really didn't. So let's grade your results from the quiz to see if you really knew who the assistant principals were at Warrensburg High School. Responses. Okay. What I would do previously is I would click individual, I would scroll down, and I would grade that short answer and go to the next kid. There's a much easier way. Click question. And the reason why I didn't get it is because all I saw were student names. Because it's just giving me the data for the first question. If I pop down to the who are the vice principals at WHS, now I can just see those answers on one page and just go click through correct, incorrect. Okay, they got it, they got it, they got it. And because I asked for emails, when I choose, I'll send you results. 2 ladies. They were probably one of Donna's friends visiting from another district. So sorry, you got it wrong, but it doesn't matter. You're still wonderful. So that's so much easier than what I was doing. And I know the idea of grading short answer may have been an area you didn't even want to go into because you didn't want to read it to try and read like a sentence in an Excel cell or copy and paste it somewhere else. Or what I thought I was smart about, I would put Post-it notes on the side of my monitor so I know where to scroll down to when I look through every individual quiz. Okay, so the trick here is your first thing's going to probably be something, oh, I probably need to submit your scores and say I approve. Let's just move on. Points don't matter. Make sure that you pick the question, because your default's just going to be question name, and you might not realize that you could actually see the individual questions there. What if you have a question with multiple points? Can you give partial credit? Yes, you can. And you can give extra credit, and you can give multiple points. So let's see. This would be one way to do extra credit. This was named, so it wasn't worth any points, but I'm going to give Jessica a point anyway, because she knew her name on her paper. So that's an option. I didn't realize that you could do partial. I thought, well, maybe I still don't get it. Does anybody do partial points? Can chime in. Maybe it's because it's for 0 points I can't do. Yes, I want to leave. I don't know. Maybe I'll figure out that partial thing another day. Nope.
Yeah, I'm thinking like if it was worth 5 points, you could put in there 2.5 or 3 out of 5.
And I think that what I was having trouble with is because it was 0 here.
Mm-hmm.
But now that it's 1 point, I can give a half a point. The dog on the left is Little Mama. Okay, so that would actually get it completely correct. So that's another way to do that. I think I just didn't want to fool with partial credit, so I forgot it was even an option. Other questions about the short answer grading? I think that'll make my life a lot easier. So question, you have to actually pick the question, and then you go with the check mark. And I'm going to change my setting to send it out later after manual review. Later on, you'll get an email with your score for that quiz that you took today.
You can click on the arrow to scroll through the questions, like to go through each question one at a time as an option, right? This 2 of 7?
Yes.
Like the side. Okay, so you could go to 3 and then 4, like just do it in order instead of selecting one.
Yeah, you might forget where you were on here, so that arrow absolutely could work for you. Okay. Oh, Matthew Holtom! Hey! Okay, just scrolling through the feeds every now and then. Where were we? Number 7. 8. Oh. I didn't know about this one either. Some of you have been doing it. Jen Hutchins showed me it's something she made. She's a queen. It was amazing. Let me get back to questions. And I put some in the quiz that you took today. So Friday at 4 had to be a number. How did I do that? Well, near the required button, there's this, and response validation, and that the response that they type in has to be a certain thing before that response can be accepted. And so a good example that I hear about is email addresses. It has to be an email address or it won't take it. So let's say somebody typed in their email address wrong. That'll fix it. So I'll turn that off and it goes away. I'll turn that back on, response validation, and I can make their answer have to be a number, have to be some text, a certain length. So if you want a quality sentence, you can say that it's got to be more than, I don't know, 10 characters. It'd be hard to make a quality sentence with 10 characters. And so they can't submit until they get past that length. I am not sure what regular expression means. So the number has to be all of these things. For this one, the correct answer is 4. I just said it has to be a number. The number is a number. So maybe that could be helpful for you. Examples of how to use this. Passwords for assessments. The input has to be XYZ, and that's the password whenever they have to take the test in class, and you tell them today's password is XYZ, and they type that in. Or Jen, do you want to talk about what you do with your case study and practice? Or I can explain what she does, but she'll probably do a much better job.
Either way, I mean, I don't mind.
I'll let you take it.
So with the case studies, kids have to answer questions about why a doctor would do a particular test or what they would find. And so when kids type in their answers, I have a setting so that they have to type in a particular word, like a keyword, in order to go to the next section. So for instance, on this last one that students did, they had to tell me why the medical examiner would do a hair follicle test. And so I required that they have the word drugs in their response because they would be testing, you know, for various drugs. And so they can't move on until that correct response is in there.
Breakout EDU games, I have not looked into that because it seems like a lot, and I don't want a lot. But that could be something easy to do once you get it set up and send them to different places. Okay, that was 8. Number 9 is crazy. Mrs. Bushmeyer used that today for a checkbox answer. Okay. This one's weird. Sorting long answers. Picture on the left is a screenshot of a survey that I sent out asking if you could help with senior breakfast. This is the first year that I did it, and I just had check boxes. But the problem with this is if you selected multiple check boxes, all of your answers went into one cell. So what you see on the right-hand side, Melissa Casey's is highlighted for some reason when I took this snapshot. She said she would help with multiple things, and it is all strung together in one cell, and it's difficult to sort out. So I never did that again. Suggestions. Well, now I made everyone its own question, and I forced you to choose this or that. Instead of it being one question where you could checkbox as many things that you were going to help with, each thing that you were going to help with was its own question. And so for the results, I have one column that is I can help set up. I have one column that is I can help with breakfast. It's shaded because I then went in and sorted it and shaded it, make it easy for me to see. Another option that I have done is I still use checkboxes, but I made every checkbox a different question. And so I didn't type anything in the question section, but I had typed something in the answer. And there was only one answer choice for that question stem. So you'll know if you set this up the wrong way because you'll have a hot mess in a box if you've ever asked a detailed question and something like that happened to you. So it's sad, don't do it. Okay. The last one, all right. Chris Combs, are you here? I'm about to change your life. I figured it out. Maybe you already know, and then this will be anticlimactic. Math people already knew, but they didn't tell me. This thing is called Equatio, and it allows you to add fancy, you have it. Did you just get it? You can unmute yourself. What is he doing?
So I do have it, and and it's, go ahead and explain. I've used it several times.
Oh, well.
Thank you for trying to change my life, though. I do appreciate it.
I have not used it several times, so you have used it more times than I have, so you're the expert.
Oh, gosh. Well, then heaven help us all. So I use it because I like superscripts and subscripts in my chemistry and physics questions. And so what it does is it allows me, it's a Google add-on. So you have to add it onto your Google browser, Chrome browser. And then you can click on the little Equatio button that appears next to the picture button when you're formatting each question. And what it does is you type in your text, whatever it may be. There is some black magic and voodoo about how you format superscripts, subscripts, parentheses, whatnot, but it does give you a valid way where you could type, let's say, a balanced chemical equation, or you could type a power of 10. And it's taken me a while actually to figure that out because it still is a little bit fiddly, but then it takes that, it sends it to a third-party website. The website turns it into a picture, and then it imports the picture into your question as a photo or a JPEG. I don't know if it's a JPEG, but it's a picture that is then beside your question. Like you could have text and a picture. Well, you could have text and the equation or whatever you need, and you can do it for not only the question, but you can do it for the answer choices as well.
Yes. So science, we want superscripts and subscripts. Sometimes we want super, not really, we want subscripts. But also equations. You can turn on the chemistry function, and it's smart, and it knew which version I wanted of oxygen. And I was able to click on that, and it automatically threw in O2. Or you can type in an ideal gas law, and it knows the equation and can spit that out. Free version doesn't let you do chemistry. Teachers can get the full version for free. So I added this. I'm on the premium trial right now, but I asked them to hook me up with the teacher version. We cannot find the image URL. What? Okay, I don't know what happened there, but I thought it was good stuff. It blew my mind.
There have been times when I'm typing text and it recognizes a math function in the text that I'm typing. And so I've had several wrestling matches with Equatio trying to get my text out of a logarithmic function or a whatever and back into text. And so I still have some learning to do for sure to communicate well with Equatio, but it's been a lot better.
The name of this thing is Equatio, and Katie says, how do I find it? You type in Equatio, Google add-on, and you'll be able to find it from there. Oh, yeah, Bender, I'll talk about that. No problemo. Okay. I will show you what Equatio looks like here. Maybe. There, did you try the text and equation thing, Chris? This one looks like it may let you do both. I'm not sure about that.
I have tried both, and I've tried mixing and matching, but I'm sure that I'm missing something.
So what I have to do is, like, if I want to type in just regular text, I hit that little circle with the T. And then when I want to go back to like my subscripts and superscripts and all that, you have to hit this little thing with the 3 dots. And then it has that, it looks like 4 corners. And that'll let me go back to doing whatever, you know, with those other things.
Jeez.
But it is a fight. I get it. It just is worth it to us because, you know.
Okay, so here, layout. Do I need to choose something?
No, I just click that, and then sometimes the little T squared. I don't know. I just push buttons till I get what I want, to be quite honest.
Great way to go through life. Okay. What if I just type in a word? It's just a word, but only because that word was not associated with something mathy or chemistry. Okay. Bender says, how did I not know data went into a spreadsheet? And I'll say, let's talk about that. If I can get this stuff off my
The only problem I have with Equatio is you can't put an equation and a picture into the same question.
I also have trouble with longer questions. Physics is where I really run into this. Longer questions that have lots of data in the question become pictures that are really small or compressed, and so it's hard to read them on the Google form.
I might.
And you can't click on it? Okay, sorry.
I might suggest doing it as a document and then grading it by hand, but you'd still have them in front of you that way. Make it as like a worksheet doc. but it'd be nice if it graded itself.
And you can always tell the kids that they can click on the pictures and it makes it bigger. It makes it full screen.
Other suggestions about making pictures larger? Anybody has in forms? Okay, so you've made a form, you've given it to somebody, and you're ready to look at the results. And you go from questions over to responses. There's the individual, no, we'll start from the beginning. There's the summary, and you can get some information. A summary, information about frequently missed questions. And if you continue scrolling, you will eventually see all of the questions. Tragically, I have no clue what my dog's name is. Okay, that's fun. So those are their summary data. You can look at you can look at the questions. And we talked about how you can scroll through to look at the different questions. And then individual data. So, oh, it was me. I was the first person who took the survey, of course. And you can see that person's score. I can release the score after I've graded things manually. I just want to release mine. And if this Equatio thing was gone, send emails and release up at the top hand. And so now I'm going to receive an email with my information. I think that'd be helpful because there's been times where I've given assessments on the computer, but I had trouble getting the information back to the student. They wanted their feedback on which questions and how things went, and it was difficult. But if I collect their email and then manually send out, I can do that. Now, the thing is, this plus represents spreadsheet. If you hovered over it, it would say something about spreadsheet. You can click on it and it's going to say, do you want to put the data into a new spreadsheet or an existing? I usually do new. I think I'm going to start switching it up and change how I do that, but that is a story for later. And create. And it automatically spits all that information into a spreadsheet. And because I set this up as a quiz, it has the score next to everyone's name. And this is where I would sort A to Z so I can easily put folks' names in the gradebook minus, you know, the ones that don't happen. Okay. These are pretty short answers, so easy to look across and look at different things if you want to. You can see if folks said yes, they want another question, or no, they don't, based on whether or not they have another answer here. Some people said no, that's cool. It just showed you that you had an option. I will use the same form multiple years or even multiple blocks. And then what I'll do is I'll hide, okay, these are all first block, and I've already put that data in the gradebook and I need to sort it again. I can click on a cell and drag up to highlight it. I will right click and I will hide those rows. So then I don't have to worry about deleting the data, but now I can put in these grades or it's cleared out for another year. Did that help with your learning about the spreadsheet? Okay. Where do you find these spreadsheets? They're now in your Google Drive. So if you went to Recent, you would not only have the sample form, that's the purple icon for a Google form, you would also have the responses. That's the exact same name, but says responses. All right. I'll find the chat. Other questions? How did I know? Haltom left, but he said it was nice to see us. Ms. Fowler has a question.
Yes, yes. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. So I have been doing quizzes. I've been putting, now that I know I can import questions to make my job a lot easier, but I've been doing quizzes through forms. And when I get my data, it's all the kids from okay, so I guess I'm stupid, but in a way. But like, so all the kids from all my classes in one data pile, because it's the same form for every class, because I have like 4 sections of honors. Is there a way to fix that?
Yeah.
Oh, add a block question.
Add a block question, and then I sort by block, and then I hide things. So let's say that these other folks were really in a different block. Okay, I'm ready to enter grades for white 2. Well, let me just highlight these red 3 folks. I'm going to right click and hide them. And I might need to resort by last name, and then I would just have that block, folks.
That's perfect. Thank you very much.
And that's definitely going to be one question that you can keep importing too.
I don't know what you mean by that.
No problem. You write the question and you have it like in one Google quiz, and then you use that arrow on the right-hand side to add a new question. And so you don't even have to type out red 3, red 4 every time. You could use this button and pull that question from somewhere else that you have made it.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Oh, and I have something for English people too. This was my bonus thing on the slides. Sometimes I will use my iPad as a checklist whenever they're presenting. And so, did they meet the time? Check. Did they do this? Check. And so I'll use it as a Google form. It's not a good Google form. I'm not even going to bother sharing it with you. That's not the cool thing. But there's this thing called Autocrat, where it can take each line of the Excel sheet and spit it into a document that goes into your drive that you could then share with students. So you're like, okay, I have used this rubric, I've used this checklist, how do I get the data back to the kid? Do I print it out and cut out all these little strips? I've done that once or twice. This Autocrat thing will put it into a document, and then you can share the document with the kid. I haven't tried it, but it sounds cool, and this person has a blog post on how to do that. It sounds like it would be relevant. Huh. Interesting. I've never played around with importing scores from different things. Ms. Bushmeyer?
My question is kind of about, I'm interested in what Combs just said and that also, but okay, so there was a question that I was going to ask, and this may be my answer perhaps, but I have this may not be my answer. We may need to stay after so I can ask you the question. But
you can stay after class.
Okay, here's my dilemma. So we have persuasive speeches coming up for dual credit speech. Mm-hmm. And whenever we had the half of the kids had done their a speech before we left for online, and then the other half had to do theirs on video, and we just put notes on a doc and then sent that to the kids. But for this next speech, I have a rubric that I really love to use. And usually what I do is I post the rubric in Google Classroom as material so they can see. I don't make a copy for everyone. I just post it as material so they know in advance what the rubric is. And then I copy them and I do it by hand while they're giving their speech, and then I fold it in half, I record it, fold it in half, and give them immediate feedback. But it's on paper because I'm writing while they're giving their speech. Because otherwise I'll forget everything. And so I want to be able to do that during the Zoom while they're giving their persuasive speech. And I was thinking about the class that you taught class before now, where maybe I could go into slides and lock that rubric. But if I lock that rubric, would I be able to highlight what they what they're in the number 5 that tells what they did great, or the number 4 that tells what they did, or number 3 that tells what they did? I need a way that I can utilize something digitally while they're speaking and then also give them back that feedback. So
I will think on that. Send me the stuff and let me look at it and work some stuff out.
okay, and I may have to just convert it to this because this seems like maybe that would answer the question. That would just be a lot of work to have to type all that stuff in. But.
Amy, are you using Google Classroom with it?
Yeah, well, we have Google Classroom for that class, yes.
So when you put the assignment, if you make the assignment in Google Classroom, now there's a little icon that says rubric, and you can actually create a rubric for whatever it is and grade it in real time as each person's giving their speech.
Wow. Okay.
And it saves in Google Classroom so that you can use it again and again and again.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay.
No, this is what this thing is for us to share with each other, everybody.
Okay. Okay, great. Because I only have till the 30th to figure this out. So, yay, great. Thanks, Donna.
All right. I hope you got something. If you're still, I know people are leaving, so I'll say that right now before you leave. I hope you got something. If anybody has another question that one of us might be able to answer, just jump in, shout it out. Oh, you would like me to share this presentation with you? Well, maybe that's assumption. That's an assumption. bit.ly/forms hacks. There you go. If you need to, you can copy and paste that, I think, from your chat. And then the recaps, Friday 4 recaps, it has links to all the presentations that I've done and last time's video recording too. I'm thinking Nearpod next time. Is anyone interested in that? Maybe, maybe not. Let me know. We'll think about it. Nearpod sounds great. Okay. And yeah, period. Okay, if you're leaving, goodbye. If you're sticking around, I'll see you in the present future. Amy, I will say, when you were talking, it reminded me of how Mo ran feedback stuff when you presented for like T3 or for a class. She would send us a Google form. And in that form, we had to write who was presenting. Okay, it's Ms. Bushmeyer's time to present. And I think we had to say who I was. I, Miss Brown, am the evaluator, and you would give feedback on how the presenter did, and it all went to one Google form that Mo had, and then Mo could sort out everything that was about Amy and then take off the names of the respondents and able to paste you everybody's anonymous comments.
Okay.
That sounds similar to what I think you were asking me, but I wasn't sure what you were asking me. 100%.
Possibly. I might be able to make that work, but basically I want to be able to use the rubric that I already have created. And I want to be able to grade their speeches. I love I've tweaked the rubric year after year, which
sure. That's exactly how you want it.
Yeah, I'm a little afraid that it is a PDF saved on my desktop because shame on me for not having everything set right now to go into my Google Drive. But I can fix those things, but I want to be able to grade their presentations as they are speaking to me over Zoom.
Yeah, I think you can do that.
And then I want to be able to just send it right back to them because I don't want to have to make a bunch of copies because I'm not going to give them the copy. So what a waste.
Can I show you something real quick?
Yes, please.
Okay. Well, let me see. I don't use the. Okay. So if I go to share screen, will it not do it?
Oh, let me stop sharing.
Is that okay? I'm sorry.
Nope, absolutely. It helps me get something in the background that I was thinking about as a solution.
Okay, so I'm in Google Classroom. I'm creating an assignment. So like you would put, you know, the speech or whatever over
Right.
there. And then once I put points in, it opens up this plus sign that says rubric.
Okay.
And then you can create it, you can import it. If you already had a digital copy, you can reuse one. So once you create it once, you won't have to keep creating. So
Okay.
if I hit create, so then you would put your first, like for me, section 1, you give a description, you set the points, right? So this would be, you know, full credit. And then I can add another section for partial credit. And then I
Okay.
can show what no credit, you know, would actually be. And
Okay.
then for my second criterion, you just keep adding. And then you hit save. It's not going to let me do it. Okay, anyway.
Okay.
And then
So-
it'll show up. And the kids can see the rubric when they enter, you know, like if you put in your speech, if they have to turn something in, that's fine, or whatever, you know, however you set that assignment up. But what I like is if my rubric is only worth 30 points, you know, I've created one that has a total of 30 points, but I put 100 points in for the assignment, it'll figure the percentage out for me.
Okay, good, because I mean, mine just doubles. My rubric is 50, and then the assignment is worth 100. And